And you're watching NDTV Hindu.
This is the late night news on NDTV Hindu and I'm Evelyn Matthew. A couple of journalists were roughed up tonight by supporters of A. Raja at the Chennai airport here. That's the big story right here on NDTV Hindu. That's coming up in a second, but first, the headlines this hour. Journalists in the line of fire. A. Raja supporters manhandle reporters at the Chennai airport.
Sir, how can you do this, sir? You can't do this. Hello, you can't do this. You can't do this to journalists. Ask him to stop.
Uproar in the parliament as the government reintroduces the nuclear liability bill. Supreme Court says the government is the legal owner of gas. The Ambani brothers get 6 weeks to renegotiate contract. Jayalalitha's life is under threat, says AIADMK, because of inadequate security. Employees lay a siege at the Social Welfare Department protest against the commissioner's behavior. The Indian women contingent storm into the finals of the Asian Senior Squash Championship, but the men stumble in the semi-finals. And India lose to the mighty Australians by a massive score of 49 runs. On to our top story. Less than 2 weeks after camera crew of NDTV Hindu and other media were attacked in the presence of the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Karunanidhi in Chennai, today newspersons were roughed up in front of Union Telecom Minister A. Raja, allegedly by his supporters at the Chennai airport. This happened when reporters asked him about the controversial recorded telephone conversation, allegedly between him and a lobbyist. The Madras Union of Journalists has demanded an apology from the union minister. And NDTV Hindu's Ramanathan was one of the journalists who was roughed up at the airport tonight. He narrated the entire drama which took place at the Chennai airport.
Union Telecom Minister Raja has been in the eye of a controversy, the eye of a storm for the past couple of weeks, not only with the 2G spectrum scam, but also a couple of other alleged scandals exposed by a few other television channels. Now, we were, and as you know, the 2G spectrum scam, some people pitched the values as high as 1 lakh crore rupees. With that is the amount of money which it could have cost the state exchequer. So obviously serious allegations against him. So we, the journalist community, was waiting outside the airport to meet Raja today. He hasn't spoken much in the past few days except for giving a short statement in the parliament, and he has not been answering very serious questions raised against his ministership, and that's why we were waiting outside the airport. And he did answer a few questions when we were asking him. He did respond to a few questions, but clearly after a point he got very frustrated when we moved on to other important questions. He got very frustrated, as you could see, you saw on the television screens. He got very frustrated. He moved, he pushed our mics away, and that probably gave the cue to the people around it, to his men, his supporters around him, to rough us up. Clearly, as you can see, these people got the cue from Raja when he pushed us out. These people came in between. They pushed us out. They pushed us on the floor. What we can't see actually on the camera, there is actually one other lady journalist from another television channel who was with us actually fell down on the floor, and there was not even anyone to pick her up there. I had to go pick her up, and then we continued asking questions and demanding him as to how he could do something with that to journalists. I mean, we were there asking him straightforward questions about serious allegations, and that's how his men actually acted with us. And leave alone journalists, that's how his men chose to act with a lady. They actually pushed her down on the floor when she was asking very simple, straightforward questions. And they did not stop at once. Raja did try stop. I mean, he did invoke this reaction from his supporters, but then I think he got a wind of how things could turn ugly, and he did try and stop his men. But later his men again, as you can see, once we moved out of the terminal area, these men again pushed us down and even abused us. And in fact, after when Raja left, in his minister convoy, these men were actually there standing, threatening us not to air this, calling us rowdies when when it is very clear as to what they did to us on camera there. This was clearly, a misbehavior with journalists, and absolutely, a pathetic way with which journalists are being treated, specifically in Tamil Nadu.
Now, General Secretary of Madras Union of Journalists Suresh Kumar now joins us over the phone line. So, your reactions first to all of this?
I would say this is a very uncivilized reaction from the supporters of the Union IT Minister. The journalists were there as part of their professional duty, and if Mr. Raja was not comfortable answering questions, he could have simply walked away instead of, instead of attacking journalists there.
Now, when the previous incident of violence took place at the High Court, the Chief Minister promised protection, in fact, for journalists. Obviously, with the police also present there tonight, like we saw in those visuals, they just once again proved to be mute spectators. How much does that anger you?
This is the most unfortunate aspect of it. The Chief Minister also assured action against the assailants who were involved in the attack on journalists at the Madras High Court campus. But to this day, nobody has been arrested. And I know that, the journalists have actually provided videographic evidence against pinpointing the accused, but nothing has happened.
Now, you are also from the General Secretary of the Madras Union of Journalists. You've actually asked for an apology from the Union Minister. Have you written a letter to him? What have you asked him for?
We have issued a statement, and I hope Mr. Raja would get to read the statement and then react. And I would appreciate, if he would actually apologize and also, inform as to who the attackers were,
All right. Well, thanks very much, Mr. Suresh Kumar, for joining us tonight on the Late Night News. Well, in other national news, the central government reintroduced the contentious Civil Nuclear Liability Bill in the Parliament today, but it led to an immediate uproar, and the opposition, the Bharatiya Janata Party, walked out of the Lok Sabha, dismissing the bill as unconstitutional. The government had deferred the tabling of the bill in the first half of the budget session in March in the face of a hostile opposition. The passing of the legislation is one of the last remaining steps required to operationalize the 2008 India-US Civil Nuclear Cooperation Agreement.
And the register of citizens.
In one of the biggest corporate wars in the country, the Supreme Court has given judgments in the Mukesh Anil Ambani gas tussle. The apex court has ruled that the government is the legal owner of gas produced from the Krishna Godavari basin and has the authority to allocate this gas and decide its prices. This verdict is seen as an advantage to Mukesh Ambani. Mukesh and Anil Ambani have been given 6 weeks to renegotiate the contract that forces Mukesh to sell gas to Anil. The dispute between the estranged billionaire brothers is over the price at which Mukesh's RIL is obliged to sell gas from the Krishna Godavari basin to Anil's RNRL for its power plants based on a family contract. Mukesh has been arguing that it cannot sell gas at a rate below the government set rate. In news from the state, around 300 employees of the Tamil Nadu Social Welfare Department staged a protest today against their commissioner's behavior. She has been reportedly ignoring their grievances at meetings and playing dirty politics, delaying promotions and transferring employees without reasons. A list of demands has been handed over to the Minister of Social Welfare for her intervention.
தமிழகத்தில் அரசு துறைகளில் 90% பெண்கள் பணிபுரியக்கூடிய அந்த சமூக நலத்துறையில் ஆணையராக பணிபுரியக்கூடிய திருமதி MP நிர்மலா IAS அவர்கள் கடந்த 8 மாத காலமாக இந்த ஊழியர்களை பழிவாங்கக்கூடியதே தன்னுடைய அலுவலக நடைமுறையினுடைய ஒரு பகுதியாக மாட்டிட்டு இருக்காங்க. குறிப்பாக கண்காணிப்பாளர்களை பெண்ணென்றும் பாராமல் தாம்பரத்துக்கு மாற்றுவது, அடுத்த 1 மாத காலத்தில் மீண்டும் தருமபுரிக்கு மாற்றுவது, அதேபோல கண்காணிப்பாளரை மாற்றும் பொழுது இவர்கள்ட்ட முறையிடும் பொழுது சங்க நிர்வாகிகளை அழைத்து பேசி சங்க நிர்வாகிகளை அவமானப்படுத்தி வெளியே அனுப்பக்கூடிய தொடர் நடவடிக்கையில் ஈடுபட்டாங்க. எனவே இந்த டிரான்ஸ்ஃபரை கண்டித்து ஒரு தடையாணை பெறுவதற்காக நீதிமன்றத்துக்கு போகும்பொழுது நீதிமன்றம் போவதை ஏதாவது ஒரு வழியில் தெரிந்து கொண்டு தற்காலிக பணி நீக்கம் செய்வது, நீதிமன்றத்தில் தடையாணை கிடைத்தாலும் மீண்டும் பணியில் சேர்க்க விடாத அளவுக்கு ஒரு திட்டமிட்ட பழிவாங்கும் நடவடிக்கையில் ஈடுபட்டு வராங்க.
The Tamil Nadu government today said that strict action will be taken against schools which collect excess fees. During the 0 hour, Congress MLA Gnanasekharan raised the issue on the floor of the House. In reply, the school education minister said that a committee headed by a former judge is in the process of finalizing fee structures for schools and an official announcement will be made in a week's time. At the assembly today, the state government also added that the power crisis in the state will be managed within the next 2 years. This was the reply on the demands on grant on behalf of Electricity Minister Arcot Veerasamy. He outlined that several power projects are in the pipeline in the state in 2012, and if these projects start functioning, the minister assured that in the next 2 years, the state government will resolve the power problems. A member from the opposition, AIADMK MLA, told the state legislature today that the party's leader, J. Jayalalitha, was not provided enough security during her public appearances. The MLA, Shekhar Babu, raised the issue during the discussion on grants for the police department. He said Chief Minister Karunanidhi would be held responsible if Jayalalitha was harmed, but Karunanidhi denied the charges as baseless.
இன்றைக்கு புரட்சி தலைவி அம்மா போன்றவர்களுக்கு பொதுக்கூட்டம் பேரணி போன்ற நிகழ்வுகள் ஈடுபடுகின்ற போது காவல்துறை பேருக்கு கூட வந்து பாதுகாப்பு அளிப்பதில்லை. மாண்புமிகு புரட்சி தலைவி அம்மா அவர்கள் தீவிரவாதத்தை தீவிரமாக எதிர்த்ததால் இன்றைக்கும் அச்சுறுத்தலுக்கு ஆளாக்கப்பட்டிருக்கின்றார். அவருக்கு ஏதாவது பிரச்சனை என்றால் அதற்கு முழு பொறுப்பும் காவல்துறையிலே தன் கையிலே வைத்திருக்கின்ற இந்த முதலமைச்சர் அவர்களே சாரும் என்பதை இந்த நேரத்தில் நான் திட்டவட்டமாக கூறிக்கொள்ள கடமைப்பட்டிருக்கின்றேன்.
அம்மையார் அவர்களுக்கு எவ்வளவு பாதுகாப்பு அளிக்கப்படுகிறது, எத்தனை பேர் பாதுகாப்புக்கு செல்லுகிறார்கள், எந்த கேட்டகரியில் அவர்களுக்கு பாதுகாப்பு அளிக்கப்படுகிறது என்ற விவரங்கள் எல்லாம் இந்த மாமன்றத்திலே பல முறை விளக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறது. நானும் அறிக்கை மூலமாக எடுத்து காட்டியிருக்கின்றேன். இப்பொழுது அவர் சொன்னார், அம்மையாருக்கு ஏதாவது ஆபத்து ஏற்பட்டால் அதற்கு முதலமைச்சர் தான் பொறுப்பு இருக்க வேண்டும் என்று சொல்லியிருக்கிறார். ஆக என்ன புரிகிறது என்றால், முதலமைச்சருக்கு பொறுப்பு என்று குற்றஞ்சாட்டி இவர்கள் யாரும் அம்மையாருக்கு எந்த ஆபத்தும் விளைவிக்காமல் இருந்தால் போதும் என்பதை மாத்திரம் நான் இங்கே சுட்டி காட்ட விரும்புகின்றேன்.
Meanwhile, the principal opposition also slammed the police and demanded an explanation as to why there was no action on their part in connection with the attack on media persons at the High Court. They alleged that despite the Chief Minister's promise, hardly any action was taken to punish the offenders. The AIADMK also accused that infighting within the police department had deteriorated the law and order situation of the state. Still ahead, if you are looking to go abroad for your further studies, there's a reason to smile now. Stay tuned to find out more.